Right. Good morning, everybody. Today I'm joined with Sheela Masand from Albia in Spain for the fourth interview for the Power of Listening series. So we'll be diving into that. And I met Sheila around 10 years ago, maybe a bit longer. Sheila's a 3P practitioner and coach, author, and mentor. She's been a business coach for over a decade as well. She's got like an absolute wealth of experience, which we'll be diving into more during this interview. Sheila, before we start, do you want to add anything to that?
No, not at the moment. I don't think. Yeah, we'll unpack it as we're going along, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So before we start and start sharing more about listening, I just want to say a huge thank you and acknowledge you for the part that you've played in my journey around listening, because I can remember distinctly like the first time we met, and
Yeah,
it
me
was
too.
it yeah, and it was on Jamie's course, Jamie
Mm,
Smart's course, and I think you'd been attending live for a I don't know, say it was a 6-month course for a series of weekends during that course. I had been half participating online, and I got to go to one live event. I think it was the last weekend. So everybody knew each other. Everybody had like built really close connections. And I walked in and I was so nervous. And I think pretty much straight away we sat down and we were in an exercise together just around listening.
mm,
So we had to take it in turns to one person got a chance to talk, the other person had to listen, and then we swapped over. And it was really beautiful. I remember you'd just been on a silent retreat and just
yeah.
you were so peaceful. I felt really, really comfortable and at ease. Um, Complete contradiction to how I'd walked into the room. And and then we got another exercise to listen and talk. Like we could do both. We had to talk and like listen. We had to listen for an insightful question or comment or something. And I got straight away I started like panicking, and you were like, we were just talking about how it was afterwards. And I said, "Oh, I didn't like that." I said, I loved it when I could just listen. I loved it when I could just talk. But I hated that bit." And you were like, "Well, why is that?" And I said, "Well, because there was less to do. If I knew I was just talking, I could like I didn't have to um I didn't have to work out how to respond. I didn't have to work out what to think." And you were like, "Well, why would you do that?" Just like a really innocent. Why would you bother? And I was like, "Well, I might not have anything to say if I don't think of something." And you just kind of shrugged as if to say, "Well, don't say anything then. Just don't. If you've got nothing to say, don't say anything." And it gave me. I was different from walking out there. Like before, I was socially awkward. I was anxious when I was around people. I used to think that everyone knew how to communicate and have conversations, and I just didn't know what I was doing. I said the wrong things. I'd hate walking up to the playground. If we went out on nights out, I'd have to get drunk to relax enough to join in. And it was like you'd given me this massive permission to just be quiet, to just not say anything. And it was so different. Like instead of walking into the playground with like right, what do I say to this person? They said this last time we spoke, and now what do I say? And what do I do if they don't respond? And like, instead of all that awkwardness, I could just walk in and be myself and a- and just say whatever occurred. And if something didn't occur, I didn't have to say anything. And it was just like, it literally, like, life changing. And I think as a result of that, that allowed me to see more of what was being shared and the principles, and to understand that and to really get that more. And it allowed me to go further with my listening, and experience all the kind of magic and um powerful like presence that that brings as well. So I just wanted to start by acknowledging you and thanking you for that, because um it it was a massive turning point for me, and it really sticks out. And I can see like life before that and life afterwards, and the miles apart. So thank you.
Wow. Do you know, I had no idea. Thank you. Serious. I mean, I remember when you talk about it now, I start the memories come back. I'll definitely remember meeting you at that day. It was an open day that Jamie did. I hadn't been on a course. It was just I had flown in. I'd been on a silent retreat for 7 days, and I knew it was a bit mad flying into London, but at the same time, I knew I wanted to do it. And it's like, and I can remember being so quiet inside, as you say, just so quiet and all this noise on the outside, but I managed to stay really quiet, and I had no idea it had that impact on you for all this. Yeah, amazing. Just shows you, doesn't it, the power of it. It's just the power of really being with somebody. And I also recognize that feeling like I need to fill the space, like I've got to say something, and I actually remember going to that event. I stayed with somebody who was going to the event as well. Stayed at this person's house and never met them before in person. And he picked me up from the train station, so I got the train from the airport. And I remember, and we didn't know each other that well, but he'd offered for me to stay with him and his wife. And I remember getting in his car and having the thought, the usual make conversation thought, right? And then I just thought, it was just like, no, I felt so quiet and peaceful. It was like, no, I don't want to. And it was really interesting because there was silence for ages. And I thought, and it didn't occur to me to break it. And he didn't either. And so I was like, oh, this is different, right? You can actually be together without speaking with somebody that you don't know that well either. So that was a revelation to me in itself. It was like, this is really interesting. Yeah. So I appreciate what you've just shared about me sort of shrugging my shoulders. I was in that space, I suppose. Like, I've not been having to talk, so you don't have to if you don't want to. But it's interesting, isn't it, how that can impact somebody so much. Yeah. So
Yeah,
thank you for sharing
definitely.
that. Yeah.
You're welcome, and thank you for changing my perspective on it as well. I thought I'd walked into a room full of people that like knew each other and had
I
spent
did
like
not
a year
know.
together, and I was the only one there. But yeah, yeah, um, that's probably right. It probably was an open day.
I think it was
I
an open
wondered why
day.
I'd
Yeah.
ended up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and since then, um, like we've I've well, we've done a lot of like work together on and off over
Mm-hmm.
the years. I attended your like business course, and I've been to like Spain on Jack Pransky's course a couple of times.
Yeah.
Did the walking retreat like from
Oh
Albia
yeah.
as well.
Mm.
So yeah, and I know like further on we'll dive into all that and share what they're about, because they've all played a part too. But just to start off and give people a sense of what we're talking about, because we held an event on Saturday, the power of listening, which was amazing, and we'll definitely be doing more. Like we all just absolutely loved it. And um it wasn't anywhere near as hard, like, to actually be there and do it as you make out, like,
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah.
It was really enjoyable. But before one attends, like, we talk about listening, and I think everyone gets a sense of when they are paying attention to someone or not, in everyday listening. But in these videos, I just want to draw a bit of a distinction of like what deep listening is, or listening with love, and how that's slightly different to just that everyday
Mm.
noticing if you're paying attention or not. And so I'd love for you to share what that means for you, and how that is different to just kind of noticing if you're paying attention or not.
Mm. Well, for me, I love that term, listening with love. And I would also say it's listening from love. That's what struck me. It's like, for me, I so often drop into a beautiful space. That's what it feels like to me. My personal experience of deep listening now is just a space of nothingness, a presence. I really notice how present I become with people. It's a dance in a way for me. It's a dance between noticing when I get distracted and coming back, and noticing when I get distracted and coming back. So there's a dance that happens. It's not like I'm able to be there, or I guess it's be without anything on my mind, because that's how I see it. It's like there's nothing that I'm holding on to. It's not like thoughts go away, because thinking never really goes anywhere. Thoughts are always there. It's whether I get distracted by them, identify with them, take myself away from being present. And there's so many ways of doing that. And with Jack Pransky, who's been a mentor of mine who introduced me to deep listening many, many years ago, he talks about 4 types of listening, 4 types of thinking that can distract you. There's ego type thinking, which would be getting caught up in my own thinking around what I might be having for dinner tonight, or something like that, or I'm not doing a very good job of this, am I? Oh, I'm distracted again. Oh, and it's lots of thinking about me. Then there's also distracted thinking, sort of drifting off. That's drifting off into, because I'm bored, or I've thought about something else, and I'm like distracted, totally distracted, and not listened one little bit. And then there's the I know type thinking. That's really easy. Like, oh, I know what she means. I know what she's saying. And the minute I'm in that, I'm totally not listening anymore, because I'm just looking for places where I agree and don't agree. And I know, yeah, I know what I could, listening to respond, listening to share what I want to share. And then there's I think it's the one that's trickier in terms of my work and your work as a coach, is having the answer, looking for the solution. So I find that one's the one that catches me out more than anything, because as I'm listening, ideas will come to me as to how I can help this person in front of me, what I could share. And then I'm already, the very fact that I'm coming up with ideas and buying into those ideas, I'm distracted. I'm taking, I'm away. I'm not present anymore. And so that one's the trickier one for me. And that's the one I hadn't realized was preventing me from totally being with somebody. It just, because it looked like I was doing my job as a coach. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. And when we're in the business of helping people, of course, we want to do everything we can to help them. So that one was a really sort of sneaky one in a way. So I'm really glad that Jack flagged that one up, because I hadn't noticed that one. I thought it was a pretty good listener, I thought, until Jack introduced this idea of deep listening, which is absolutely, as I've just said, nothing. Not listening for reflecting back or picking up on what they're saying and repeating it back to them, and all those sorts of things that I'd learned to do in the past. And yeah, listening to share my good ideas with people as well. It was like, It's like, no, it's a blank slate. It's nothing. It's absolutely having nothing on your mind. And if something comes in, I'm talking about in the coaching conversation, if something comes in to ask somebody or to share a story, or if something that feels like it's coming fresh and new from wisdom, coming from what people might call God or energy or divine intelligence, whatever words, that's coming through, and there's a feeling to it that's really, it's just a knowing that this is not my mind. This is not my mind. This is not what I know. This is not my good idea. This is fresh and new. Then I'll ask, and that'll come in. But before that, I'm just keep going back to being present, to really listening and being with somebody. And I love the space that's created when we're sitting together.
So we had a slight interruption there with the Wi-Fi or the laptop technology or something. But so following on from what you were sharing, I shared that desire to fix or to help or to respond and make things better for people. Although it's like a huge part of coaching, I think it's a huge part of life itself. Especially like family life with the girls, that was a big thing that changed for me. But even colleagues at work, if someone comes with a problem, you know straight away you just want to offer them your advice or what you've done. And so I just want you to share a little bit more about that. We had it a lot at the weekend, and how you listen through that rather than jump into that mode. And you mentioned listening for like wisdom,
Mm.
which so yeah, I just want you to expand a little bit on that. And if we're not responding, if we're not fixing, like, what are we doing? And why would we do that? Like, why would we not just share what we know? Surely that's helpful.
Mm. Well, to answer that question straight away, like, why wouldn't we share what we know, is because that is what has worked for us, and that's what we see as being helpful. We've seen it work for other people. We've seen it help other people, other clients, other friends, other members of the family, and we've read about it, and it's we've learned things because it's all the known, it's all the knowledge that we've picked up, and we now know to be what we perceive true and real and helpful. And actually, the person in front of us has access to the same wisdom I mentioned earlier as we do, and their answers for them are going to be the answers that are going to make a difference for them. So people can take on our ideas, and I've done it loads of times. And I mean, pre this understanding, I was giving great advice to people in the coaching situation, and I still give advice to friends and family. It's just a natural thing that we do. But when I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, I'm doing it, but it's probably not going to hit home. And what does hit home, the interesting thing is, when it does hit home, if you like, when it does make a difference, when people do have an insight and something changes in their life, it's because they've heard it. They've really heard something within them. And often it's got nothing to do with what my advice has been. So I could say to somebody, I don't know, if I were you, I'd leave that relationship, for example. That's a big one, right? If I was you, I don't know how you could stay in that relationship. I just couldn't do what you do, right? That person might hear, oh, if only I saw him in a different way, that would make loads of difference. Well, that's got nothing to do with what I've just said. But that's the thing that shifts the needle. That's the thing that moves the needle for people, is when they have their own insight from within them. An idea arises that from wisdom within them. That's the thing that makes the difference, that creates transformation, that makes change, real sustainable change in a person's life, is when they have their own insight. And that comes often in a coaching situation and in life as well, from this, what we're talking, this is deep listening, just being present with somebody and giving them enough space. And what I've seen more recently again is a lot around safety. When people feel safe, they feel listened to, they feel heard, they feel it's non-judgmental. So when we're in that space of real, pure, deep listening with nothing on our minds, there's no way we can be judging somebody. There's no way we've got ideas about how they should be and what they should be doing and why are they doing that and what, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that. None of that is going to have any hold on us as listeners. It's not going to impact them at all. They're not going to, because we can pick up on it somehow. I mean, I don't know how it works exactly, but somehow when we can feel judged, right? So we can feel that somebody's got eyes on us and faces are pulled or whatever. It's when we're held in a space of complete non-judgment, of nobody trying to give us advice, nobody getting distracted, nobody trying to help us and fix us and find our answers for us. When we are purely left alone to be and explore on our, by through talking, and even sometimes sitting in silence, something magical happens, in the sense that new ideas come to us. As I said, or we have an insight, or we see something fresh and new, or maybe that doesn't happen, but the fact that we're held in a space of non-judgment and safety, that's healing. Whether we see something fresh for ourselves or not, just that in itself, there's a calming of the nervous system, which is required for physical healing to happen anyway. But on a mental, emotional level, I don't know, it's like being bathed in a warm bath of your favorite something, or a warm bath of love. It's just, you're enveloped in something that's absolutely natural, and yet we, as a species and society, at least in the Western world, generally don't have that opportunity very often to experience that depth of being, connectedness, and I would even say love with somebody. We're just really
Yeah.
being present and feeling the love that's always there, despite, apart from, we get busy in our minds and get distracted, and it's like the cloud, the black clouds coming across the sun. The sun's always there, the love's always there. When we make the decision, set the intention to stop paying attention to the clouds, the sun's out and we're bathed in that. We feel it, we know it.
For me, when I'm listened to, like, fully, like, for not to have a discussion about it or an argument about it, not to fix it, but someone just giving me the space to share what I am currently thinking, what I am currently feeling about a situation, how it looks to me. Um, there's just, it feels like, um just a whole acceptance, just a,
Mm,
um it's okay. I understand why you see it like that, and you are still loved.
mm,
And there's no, and in that, I know we talked about, people's wisdom coming up and them finding their own solutions, but I've also found that in that no solution is required sometimes.
yeah.
It's just that, uh, like, I remember one of my daughters once. I went to pick her up from school and she'd had a bit of earache, and the teacher said as I was picking her up, "Her ear's been hurting today. Really don't think she should come to the Valentine's disco this evening." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, if you hadn't have said that, I probably would have let her go if she wanted, because she's been looking forward to it. But since she'd pointed it out, I thought, right, okay, I can't really send her, like, now the teacher's basically said don't. Um, so so she didn't go, and she absolutely, like, out of the three, she is the dramatic one. And she absolutely sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And um I've seen her theatrical performances of like when things aren't going right, but this was she was just absolutely devastated. She couldn't understand it, and I I could feel a real kind of urge in me to like stop that, and make her feel better. And it kind of was on, like, I was on the verge of trying to distract her and give her something. I don't know, a bribe maybe, just anything to take her mind off it to feel better. And yet I didn't. Like, I just let her play it out, like, and I was just there, and I could totally, I understood exactly why. Like, I mean, she's a social animal. She loves it. Like, it was just her thing. And when she finally got to the end of sobbing, she was just like, all my friends are going, and I'm going to go to school tomorrow, and they're all going to be talking about the disco, and I won't know what to say.
Oh.
Um, yeah, and so it was like, well, what do you think you could say? But that never would have come out
Mm,
if I tried to comfort her and make her feel better, and not give her that space to just let it all out, and
mm,
see what was, like, really going on
mm,
underneath. And like, just from seeing that, it was like, oh, I could ask them how it went.
mm,
I could ask them what songs they played, and things like that. And that was it. It was over. Um,
mm.
and so, but there's an urge there, isn't there? There's a real urge
There really is,
to
isn't there?
help.
Yeah, we've been trained by society, if you like, to that not feeling okay. These feelings of, I don't know, despair, anger, upset, are to be pushed away, to be changed very quickly. Stop crying, don't cry, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Or somebody's getting angry, it's like, calm down, calm down, calm down. It's like, we've been trained in our society that those feelings are undesired, they're not desirable. And for me now, going back to the deep listening piece, I think deep listening to ourselves is allowing everything to happen, and to see that all is welcome. Every feeling, every emotion is a manifestation of spirit, if you like, in a human form. It's like, there are a rainbow of emotions. There's a palette, like a color palette of emotions, and all of them are valid, right? They're all valid, and they're all here for us to feel them. Why would we push certain ones away when they're here? And for me, it's like, when we're listening, the resistance would be to push it away, and that is not being okay with what is. And when we're really listening, when we're really deep listening, we're okay with whatever comes up. Everything's okay. Everything, there's room for it all, is one of the phrases I love at the moment. There's room, we have capacity for all of it. All of it. None of it's going to break us, none of it's going to scar us, none of it's going to to have us go up in a puff of smoke. It's like we are absolutely capable of feeling all feelings, of all sensation, of all feelings. Just that we've learned somewhere along the way that we're not, basically. And so to see that that's where the juice is, like you've just explained, just described the story with your daughter, was really, I mean, how freeing is that? And I believe that on some level you've helped her understand that it's safe to be with uncomfortable feelings. And so many of us have learned, because of parenting and society, that it's not safe to be with feelings, and that's why we're repressing and running away and turning to alcohol or shopping or whatever it happens to be. That's what we're doing. We're escaping, we're running away from feelings. That's how I see it. So this idea of deep listening to oneself is permission for all feelings to be present and to be okay with them all. It's okay. You don't even have to make yourself okay. It is okay. It's safe. There's room for it all. I don't know if that made sense to you. It's just something I'm seeing more at the moment that's very powerful, because I also had this idea that it's all about feeling peaceful and calm, and actually the peace is always there. The more that we can be with what is, the more peaceful we feel. So what is can be anger and fear and frustration, inevitability, sobbing. My dad died not that long ago, and I've been through my times of sobbing, and at the same time I was really grateful for it. I didn't try and control it because I know better now. It didn't. The funeral, when I was reading out my words at the funeral, I sobbed my way through all the words. But I could have given up, but I felt so, I really wanted to read them. And so I just let myself be who I was being. I wasn't embarrassed. I didn't even feel vulnerable, to be honest. I just knew this is what was happening in the moment, and I was with what was happening. And the old me would have either not done it or held it all in and been brave, because you're not supposed to cry in front of all these people. But I didn't. And I just feel like that's the health in us. When we're deep listening to ourselves, and we recognize that all of it's healthy. It's all healthy.
A real peace and comfort in realizing that it's all okay and that we've got
Mm,
everything we
mm,
need
yeah,
to to I was going to say to deal, but to hold and be with whatever's going on
yeah.
in the moment.
We
And
absolutely have. Yeah,
I feel like we could talk on this subject all day,
yeah,
but I feel like what you've talked about so far is huge, like for people. It clearly kind of shows the distinction that we're like pointing to, and they're huge takeaways, and it it give it gives people an indication of like the value of exploring this conversation
mm,
further. And I know in the event we did on Saturday, like we drove deeper into those, especially like listening to ourselves, holding ourselves with love. And I know you do the same. So um, I am gonna stop the listening conversation at this point, because I think we just like fill the entire day on it,
yeah,
because I
easy.
know you've done so much work on it. Like it's such a like huge part of my life and work as well. So um, what I want you to do now is just share kind of where people can find out more, some of the like work that you're doing at the moment, and how that incorporates um, deep listening, and yeah, just how they can get in touch and find out more about
Mm.
that.
Well, most of what I'm up to at the moment is housed on my website, which is my name, sheelamasand.com. So yeah, Sheela with 2 E's in the middle. So sheelamasand.com. So that I have coming up in where I live in Albert, got the wonderful Dr. Jack Pransky, who is now semi-retired. I thought he'd retired and was never coming back again. I was saying to you earlier on, I cried my eyes out because I thought I was never going to see him again, and he's popping back up again. So I'm really, really, really pleased to be teaching with Jack in May. So we're at our teaching session together is actually called Perfecting Deep Listening. So it's a 2.5-day event in Albert, and that's the 20th to 22nd of May. And I have just about coming to the end of an online coaching course. It's the first time teaching a coaching course called Inside Out Transformation, the coaching course, where we've been doing loads of work on deep listening. So the participants there have been having loads of practice on deep listening and finding, the results have been amazing. They just really sinking into, as you and I have found it so impactful, just really seeing the power of it, the impact that deep listening has. So that's been a 12-week online course. I believe I will be running it again at some point, and that's based on my recently published book, which is called Inside Out Transformation, where I interviewed 15 of the leaders in this field that are all experts on deep listening. Every single one of them in the book talk about deep listening and how powerful it is, and how that moves the needle, if you like, in terms of coaching with people, working with people. And then there's the big event called Viva at the end of this year, 4th to the 6th of November, which that has its own website called the Viva event, which is a group gathering, 3 days of lots of facilitators, practitioners sharing, keynote speakers, fun events, surprises, all sorts of things happening. And then I do my coaching and my mentoring, which you can find out some about that on the website. I'm also on Facebook, Sheela Masand, always happy to hear from people. So yeah, there's lots of ways to contact me.
Thank you. So I'm going to share the link to your website below, so people can go to that and find out more information. Just going to expand on that a little bit, because like in your book, your interviews are with people basically that have like dedicated their life to this, aren't they? So
Yeah.
like and there are like thousands of people that will know who they are and will have been impacted in some way by like someone that's in that book. So it's definitely worth a read to find out more, give people a sense of like what the course is tailored on as well. If they want to find out more information about that. I want to let people know that Albia is such a beautiful place. My youngest is desperate to visit Spain, and so I keep saying, well, we'll go to Albia because that's got like something for all of us. Yeah, it's definitely beautiful by the coast. There are mountains there as well. The hotel is fantastic. I can remember the first time I came to a course there, and we were sat on the rooftop with the white walls, and I was just basked like in sun. I think it was October. I think I'd come straight from something in London,
Oh,
and
I
I'd got
remember that. Yeah.
all my winter clothes, hadn't I? And I was
that.
sat there in like the lightest things I could find, but I was just thinking, wow, how magnificent is my life that I've ended up here for a weekend. And at the time it was Jack's course, and again, without somebody having experienced that, it's hard to explain, but it is an experience and it is a transformation. But it wasn't just Jack. Like it was the space that like you provided there as well, and I understand that this is a co-facilitation as well, so people will get like double whammy from that. So I just wanted to expand a little bit and
Thank
share
you.
a
Mm,
bit more about what people will get from that, because it
mm,
will be huge, and I'll pop
yeah,
the details below, and I really encourage people to go and look at that and explore,
thank you.
and if they can make that happen, to do so.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, it's going to be something special for sure. And again, we don't know when Jack Pransky's going to be back in Europe. He said it was his last time in 2019, but so grab the opportunity. I say I'm really excited about that. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. So thank you very much,
yeah. Thank you. Pleasure.
and I've no doubt we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks, Boo.
Thank you.